Hi everyone and welcome back to another speed build. Today we're going to be building a 2-family residential rental in Willowcreek. Right now I'm just getting started on the shell of the build. This was inspired by, I believe it was on Architectural Designs, one of their websites. And I'm just going through laying out a basic floor plan and just kind of trying to map out how big I need this to be. Each unit does have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. At this point, I'm just trying to figure out the stairs, trying to see how they're going to be laid out because I do want it to be symmetrical the entire build. One side you'll see is going to be more of a lighter floor plan and decorating, and the other side is going to be a little bit more of kind of a vintage eclectic feel. So here you see that I'm just mapping out each of the bedrooms, and I do have 2 small bathrooms in the hallway. However, I am going to go back and change that shortly. So I'm just kind of trying to make 2 larger bathrooms just so that it doesn't feel so cramped and I have a little bit more space to work with. At this point, I'm just putting on the roofing, which was actually not bad for this build. A lot of times I struggle with how I want the roofs to look. I was going through the doors and I wanted one that really felt a lot more open, especially when it came to the windows. I already love houses that have a lot of natural light come through. So I wanted to emulate that a little bit. And here I was trying to see if a bump out would look a little bit better. However, it did not. So I just added more windows. I'm gonna wait to do the side and back windows a little bit later just because I want to see how the furniture is going to fit in each room. I don't really care how the side and back look window wise. I would prefer for the windows to look pretty in the front. I was also trying to map out how big I wanted the backyards to be. I don't want a lot going on, just so that whoever wants to download this house, they're able to add on to it however they wish. And in the kitchen, I wanted to have a large center island. So I have my corner pieces in there. I have the sink right in the center, just because I also admire that in a lot of already built houses. And as you can see at this point, this is where we see a little bit more of the eclectic vintage with the blue cabinetry versus the light wood in the first apartment. At this point during the build, I was also looking at those two front spaces that I haven't placed any lights in yet. In the original build that I was pulling inspiration from, they were using that as a garage, but as you know, in The Sims 4 we don't have cars, and I didn't want to make a facade for a garage. So I was thinking of types of hobby rooms, fitness, gym, or like children's playroom. So you'll see a little bit of that later. I did end up putting in one in-home gym, just a dedicated space, which isn't often found in Sims homes. And then the other apartment will have a play area for their children, just because 2 out of 3 bedrooms are already built for kids, or at least one kid and one teenager. And it would be nice if whoever lives in this residential rental, if they're friends with their neighbor and they also have kids, they could go over and use the space for skill building. But just in case that's not how you would like to play in it, I did put a small playroom in the apartment on the left, closer to you right now. So here you'll see I'm starting to put in in-home gym for the one unit. And one thing that I love to see in gyms are those floor-to-ceiling mirrors. So of course I had to add those in here as well, just because I feel like when you are working out, you do want to see some progress, whether it be seeing that you're sweating or wearing a Fitbit just to tell you like how fast your heart is beating, because that means that you're actually putting in the work. So as you can see, I went back upstairs just to add in those extra bathrooms for the spare bedrooms, and working on the ensuite bathrooms. In my ensuite bathrooms in The Sims, I do enjoy having both a shower and a tub separate. Especially if you just have Sims that are in a relationship, they can use the bathrooms at the same time without getting embarrassed. So if you have more than one spot to take a shower, take a bath, that is very handy, especially if your Sims are in a rush. Going into the master bedroom for the second unit on the right, I wanted more rich colors in there, so I started off with that bed that does have that deep blue. And then for the master bedroom in the first unit, I have more of a warm feeling with reds and pinks. And I'm also trying to add a balcony. Again, keeping it symmetrical, so both master bedrooms will be getting balconies. And it'll also give a little bit of overhang for that downstairs section for when Sims are looking to go outside. This part may look a little weird just because I am adding in that roof and then building a wall behind it. But then I end up extending that balcony out another tile So the roof piece is just kind of hanging. I honestly don't mind how that looks, but if it does bother you, feel free to delete it. It'll be your build to play with if you choose to download it. Here I'm just going back through and touching up the windows, trying to figure out if I want the smaller ones or the larger ones. Of course I'm picking the larger ones unless it is for a bathroom. For those I will put smaller windows in. And again, at this point, I don't mind where the windows are placed. I'm really only focused on the placement in the front. On the sides and on the back, I want it to be more symmetrical with how the room is laid out. And moving on to the spare bedrooms, in the second unit, I imagine that'll probably be an older couple or maybe a single parent with a teenager and a child. And the first unit, they're gonna have, say, a newborn in the household with 2 children. They could be twins, they could not be. The bedrooms are very girl coded, but you can always change the color scheme if you wish. There are a lot of items in The Sims similar to the home decorator stuff pack where the items clip together. I do wish we had a little bit more of that, especially when it comes to dressers and the desks. Kind of like a hotel vibe when you go into your room and it's already looking like it's one solid piece of furniture. I would like a little bit more seamlessness with that. If the Sims team ever thought about coming out with a pack that had that, or just updating previous packs or the base game, just that it clips together a little bit better instead of having to use bb.move objects. Even though these bedrooms are very large, they do have that walk-in closet, so it's, as much as I want to add in the dressers, it's probably not as necessary. So the one bedroom will be getting that vanity that you see there, and the other bedroom, this one that we're working on, did receive an extra dresser, and they just get an ottoman, and I believe that I put in a chair. Just one though in the corner. Here I am just putting in that at-home playroom. There's going to be a couple of skill building items in there and items to keep the kids' fun need up. So you'll have your science table, don't wake the llama, a little reading area, as well as the what is that? The drawing desk. And I also put in that smaller playroom, again, just in case the neighbors aren't exactly friends, or maybe you only move one family into the lot and they can't access the other side. At least there's a small playroom for the first unit. Still equipped with a dollhouse, a plushie, and 2 seats at a Don't Wake the Llama table. I'm also terrible when it comes to clutter or putting in artwork, just because I like to play with walls down, so I never see the artwork anyway. However, I do try to put in plants, at least keep it cluttered in that sense. But I really like when my builds have a clean look, haven't not yet moved into. And here I'm just getting ready to put in the items for the backyard, but first I need to raise the house just one step. The Sims can still access, they can move up one step in and out of the house, but I needed to go back in and fix the fencing so that it wasn't being put on that platform as well. And now I'm just going in and painting the walls. Sometimes it's so hard for me to make a decision on what color the wall should be too, especially if I can't find the right shade that I'm thinking of and I have to kind of just settle for the second best option. It would also be nice if the Sims team ever went back to do an update on the swatches that have the crown molding and the baseboard, if they could have the same colors in just plain paint, or just having the crown molding and baseboards be cohesive with all the other options, because some of them have thicker crown molding, or the color is a little bit off. Once we're done with the paint, we're probably going to be going over to the backyard and just filling that in a little bit before we get into the landscaping. I didn't do a lot of landscaping on this lot. Originally, there was only 3 European beech trees and 1 oak tree. This is the Brook Bungalow lot in Willowcreek. So I just brought back the 3 European beech trees and the 1 oak, aside from the flowers that I will be putting in the front of the lot. just going back in and making sure that each room is placed under the designated residential lot number. Here's where I start placing that front landscaping that I had mentioned before. I really have no rhyme or reason when it comes to landscaping. I have bushes and flowers that I enjoy using in a lot of my builds, and for the most part they do remain base game. So oftentimes I'll look at it just from the front and just start placing, and then I'll go into the top view to see if I have any spots that I need to fill or push back. And that's the build. If you like it, please like, comment, and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.